Chapter 1. J. Douglas. Rain poured down on Carpenter's Landing relentlessly. It was one of the worst storms the town had seen in years, and it showed no signs of stopping. Lightning flashed throughout the sky in massive bursts, with booming thunder following soon after. Following yet another long night of drinking alone in his dingy apartment, J. Douglas tried to sleep despite the storm. Long black curtains covered his window to shield his eyes from the bright flashes that came and went, but he was left defenseless to the explosive sounds that always followed. His digital clock struck 2 in the morning when one such sound woke him from his deep sleep. The thunder was louder than before, reverberating through his entire room so loudly he could feel it shaking. The sound startled him awake, shooting up from his bed and swinging out his arms in such a fashion that it knocked over an empty bottle that sat on the nightstand next to him. It fell to the ground loudly, hitting first against the lamp that sat next to it, and then rattling against the floorboards, aggravating the hangover he could already feel coming on. "Oh, fuck," he mumbled to himself as he put his hand to his forehead and stared at the clock next to him. The pain in his head came in short, stinging bursts. It felt like at any moment it might split open. As his hand touched his forehead, he could also feel the cold sweat that had collected there. That was when he felt the draft. He slowly looked around his room, trying to identify the source of the mild breeze that brushed across his body. The window remained closed, the black curtain over it maintaining its stillness. The old, dusty fan he kept in the far right corner of his room was turned off, just as he had left it. He jumped suddenly at the sight of a dark silhouette in the corner of his room. Quickly, he turned his body over on its side, turning on the lamp next to him. It illuminated the room in an instant, revealing the shadow to be nothing more than the pile of dirty laundry he had let sit there for well over a week now. "God damn it," he said to himself, letting out a weak, sarcastic chuckle as he continued to observe his surroundings. The lamp helped him identify the origin of the breeze, with his sights finally locking on the left side of his room. The door was left ajar, slowly pushing open as if something had made contact with it. This was odd. Jay lived alone, and he could have sworn that he closed the door behind him when he got home from work that night. He threw the thin blankets he was covering himself with off his bed, getting up to investigate. He nearly tripped over the bottle left on the floor as he made his way towards the door, cursing to himself as he struggled to regain balance. As he made his way to the door, he grabbed a hold of it to stop its movement, peering out into the darkness of his apartment to see what could have caused it to be left open. He turned to the left, being greeted only by the darkness of the hallways before him, then to the right, staring into his living room. That was when he noticed something else that seemed off. The window to his living room was left wide open, allowing the rain to pour in all over his furniture. The wind pushed around more bottles left on the floor, being heard clinking together faintly. Jay opened the door fully and made his way out of the room, stopping for a moment to lean against the wall and once again grab at his forehead. The longer he was awake, the worse the throbbing in his head got. It felt like someone was grabbing at his brain and squeezing, a sensation that was nearly enough to make him vomit. He stumbled his way to the window, making an effort not to trip over any of the miscellaneous bottles left about or his coffee table that sat right next to it, covered in burnt cigarette butts and ash. The carpet he had under his couch was drenched, combining with the frigid winds coming through the window to make Jay feel as though he were freezing. He shivered as he used all the energy he had to slam the window closed, and then he stood there for a moment. Did I open the window when I came home? He thought to himself, trying and failing to recollect the events that transpired only hours before. Jay came home in a drunken state, barely even able to walk through the door as he made his way to bed. Nights like this were common for him. It was just his way of working through the day-to-day life that was Carpenter's Landing. The town wasn't kind to him, nor the majority of people that made the mistake of calling it home. Sometimes it was easier just to spend the night drinking, hoping you'd forget everything the next morning. Eventually, Jay decided that it was for the best that he just go back to his bed, not worrying about whatever it was he got up to hours before. His headache wasn't going away for a while, and the last thing he wanted was to stay awake any longer for it to get worse. He mustered up the strength to make the short trek back to his room, nearly falling over at one point and using the wall for support. As he arrived there, he practically collapsed onto his bed, not even being bothered to pull his blanket back over himself. Jay tried to drift back to sleep, but that was when he noticed something else that was odd. A smell that now permeated through his room. Burnt cigarettes. He knew that smell better than any, and it was strong. Not even bothering to open his eyes again, he felt around his bed blindly to see if maybe he had left any out in the open. Nothing. Perhaps if he were completely sober or in less of a tired state, he would have given the smell more thought. But the grogginess of sleep was washing over him once more, and the accompanying headache now felt like a hammer continuously hitting against the front of his skull. All Jay wanted was to sleep, and so, despite his suspicions, he soon drifted off once more. He was found dead the next morning.